Hi, welcome to the sixth series of the Numeracy Meet. This session will focus on teaching numeracy to mature learners. My own name is Adrian O'Hanlon. So this video will be on probability. It will be a flipped class for Leaving Cert, Mathematics, Ordinary and Foundation level. I would ask ESOL learners to use the closed caption on YouTube when viewing this. So the learning outcomes for this lesson will be to distinguish certain from uncertain events, describe events as being more or less likely from experience, and to order events from least likely to most likely and justify their choice. So probability is the study of chance or likelihood. So when we talk about likelihood, we mean something that's unlikely or likely. So I want you to think about that for a moment and look at these two pictures. If you were to think tomorrow in Limerick, what is more likely? For it to rain or for you to win the lottery? So in probability, we use what's called a likelihood scale. And this uses words to describe the probability of an event happening. So now, if you look here, going from left to right, I have impossible, unlikely, evens, likely, and certain. Certain means it will definitely happen, and impossible means it can't happen. And evens is in the middle. So I have 5 images here. I want you to rearrange them, okay? So I've mixed them up on purpose. I have 1 plus 1 equals 2. So you match that to where it is on the likelihood scale. You'll have a coin here at tails. Okay, remember tails is this side, the other side is heads. This is Limerick winning the All-Ireland. This is snow on Christmas Day. And this is pigs will fly. So there's 5 options there. So I want you now, pause the video and think about where each of these images will position themselves on the likelihood scale. So this is the solution to the likelihood scale. So we'll start from left to right. Impossible, pigs will fly. I think everyone will agree on that. Unlikely. So statistically, if you look at the data over the last 20, 30, 40 years even, you'll see it is unlikely to snow on Christmas Day. The probability that we get tails when flicking a coin, well, it's evens, because you have one side you have a head and the other side you have a tail. So to get a tail would be 1 under 2, which is evens. I'll come back to this one in a moment. Certain 1 and 1 is always 2, and that's logical, and there's no disputing that. So here is Limerick winning the All-Ireland. Okay, so this may be difficult for some of our Cork viewers at the moment, but there's an element of what's called bias here. Okay, I'm from Limerick, and many people might say, well, of course you're going to say Limerick will win it because you're from Limerick. Okay, so bias is something we will speak about later on. So that's spelled B-I-A-S. But this is the solution to the likelihood scale. So we just looked at bias, okay, and that's a concept that comes up a lot in probability. Another concept is something called fair and unfair. And what we have here is a spinner, and that comes up quite a lot in questions. So it's very important you become familiar with the term a spinner. So me and Elena are going to have a competition here, see who comes out first. Okay, so we can see I won. I won fair and square, but was it fair and square? It wasn't, of course it wasn't. It was very unfair because the odds were stacked against Olena and were in my favour. So that would be an example of an unfair spinner. So just some important vocabulary in probability. Probability is the study of chance or likelihood. Bias, unbiased, fair and unfair. So you can see here we have an unfair spinner again. The poor cat doesn't have much chance of getting a mouse, as the dog seems to have loads of options for a dog biscuit. So just some more probability concepts. A probability experiment is an action or a trial where specific results are got. An outcome is the result of a single trial in a probability experiment. Sample space, the set of all possible outcomes of a probability experiment. An event consists of one or more outcomes and is a subset of the sample space. The best way to explain this now is by watching a dice being thrown. So the probability experiment here is rolling the dice. The subset are the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And the outcome is a 2. And the event then could be even numbers, 2, 4, and 6, 2 in this case. So now we will look at the probability scale. Okay, so this is different to the likelihood scale. The likelihood scale, we used words. Here we use numbers. Okay, so first one, which again we know is impossible. So for example, if I look at the numbers there, I have from numbers 2 to 10, and I have what's called the phase cards then as well. Okay, so just for example, a 0 could be something like a probability of getting a 13. Okay, that's equal to 0 because we don't have any 13. It's impossible. That's 0. So 0.25, remember, that's also equal to a quarter. Okay, or 25%. And if I said, for example, if I said probability of hearts, or I could say spades, or I could say clubs or diamonds, but we'll just use hearts here. That is equal to 13 out of 52, which is equal to a quarter or 0.25. Okay, if I said, for example, so now I'm on 50-50 or 50% or 0.5, what is the probability of getting a red card? That is equal to 26 over 52, which can be simplified to 1 over 2 or 0.5. Okay, your relationship between your decimals, fractions are very important here. Okay, and also as well, just remember what our hearts, our diamonds, our clubs, and spades are if we're not familiar with this card system. Now, how about 0.75? Well, again, I know there's 13 hearts, 13 diamonds, 13 clubs, and 13 spades. So what if I said, what is the probability of not a club? Well, that is equal to, not a club would mean a heart, a diamond, or a spade, okay? And then if we add them, that's 13, that's 26, that's 39 out of 52, which is also equal to 3 over 4 or 0.75. Okay, and then the last one is the probability of, I could just say a card, and that's equal to, what is 52 cards out of 52, which is equal to 1. And that is certain to happen. Okay, so come back to our likelihood scale. Okay, we have 0, which is impossible, unlikely, 50-50 or evens, likely, and certain. But just to bear in mind, obviously we can go in between these. I can get 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.6, 0.7, and so on. So that concludes the video. Any feedback you have on the video itself, as always, will be welcomed. And in our next class, we'll be going through a student-centered approach to learning. This is where you'll be working in groups with your peers.